I mean, it's kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. Vito was the only player to feature in every competitive game of the season for his team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. So,
I get people's outrage a little bit about letting Vito go because he had a great year.
Right,
he wins goalkeeper of the year. People are like, oh, this is great. And he's a great guy. He turns around at the Wonderwall all the time, claps with them, and does things with them.
Yeah.
Everybody loves him. But sports is a business, guys.
Right.
I mean, especially soccer, where players are moving all the flipping time. You cannot get attached to one guy. You just can't.
Yeah, and with a, if this was, pause, let my brain catch up. If this was like New York, like Red Bull New York, or it was Columbus, or it was Chicago, or some team that's been around for 20 years, it's different. We're a team that's still building. We're still trying to build from what we started out as.
Yeah,
you can't devote DP money to a goalkeeper when you have glaring issues in our attack that need to be addressed if we're going to be in the same position we were this year next year. It's just, and again, going back to my previous point, it's probably logistically difficult to have him anyway.
Yes.
So, yeah, I would love to see him, but it just seems like it'd be a very big risk.
Yeah, and it's the same deal with, remember when Ramirez got traded? Everybody's ticked off because he gets traded and because they like the guy. And I understand that.
Right.
But what was he bringing to the team?
Well, I mean,
you could argue goals, but
I mean,
but what was
from the FO and head coach's perspective, what was he bringing to the team? Not much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not what they wanted, apparently.
Right. But this is sports, guys. This is a business.
It is.
You cannot get close to these guys too much because they're going to leave. Especially in soccer is the biggest one. People get transferred all over the place.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you get a guy who spends like 10 years with one team.
Exactly. Yeah.
It happens in all of sports now. That's why I don't buy jerseys anymore with people's names on them.
Right.
I used to be able to. Now I would never do that.
Right. Yep.
So Vito's one thing. We do have a couple more guys who got their
options declined.
The biggest one I think probably was Schuler, I believe.
Yeah. So just to recap, so the Minnesota declined the contract options of Rasmus Schuler, Colin Martin, Carter Manley, Wilfred Moimbi-Trot, and Ali Nganzi.
Yeah,
for 2020.
Those are all interesting. I mean, I think Moembe was getting paid a decent amount of money to be here for half season. He was basically here as a trial.
Yeah.
And he looked good at moments,
Yeah, I think he was probably my surprise because I was like, he actually seemed to look like had he gotten minutes, he might have been pretty decent.
Yeah.
I think,
and with how Chase Gasper likes to foul anything that comes within 5 feet of him, it seems like it's not a bad idea to have a decent
exactly
backup.
right.
I think it was Jeff Ruder that made the point. It's do you want to use an international spot on a backup?
Exactly, that
defender.
is very true.
That's the problem.
You don't want something like that. Conditioned sitting on the bench. Yeah.
Right.
And Schuler being gone, I mean, we saw him completely go in the tank during the year and kind of just fade away.
And quite honestly, I don't know that he's any worse than Lude, but it's,
well, you don't like any of those Scandinavian guys, do you?
Yeah. And then I think Martin, I think he got the short end of the stick. There were times. I mean, he really only got play in friendlies mostly, but I feel like he got shafted a bit last year as he comes out as being the only actively gay player.
Yep.
He doesn't get to play in the Pride match, and I don't know that he got minutes after that.
No.
I mean, I really felt like that was a bad PR issue. Maybe the team just recognized that they screwed the pooch and they decided to
cut ties.
I felt like there were flashes of a good, at least, bench player from him. We don't really play in a formation that he would excel in. At the same time, the formation is heavily determined by the coach, and if that coach is going to be around forever, who knows? But
so those 5 guys are gone. And it doesn't mean we can't re-sign them.
Right. Not necessarily gone, but their current contract.
And we know that Miguel is probably out the door.
I mean, you read between the lines of everything he posts on social media, you'd think so.
And of course, the rumor now is Angelo is gone.
It seems to be picking up steam.
Yeah. And then there's the Darwin situation.
Right.
So,
which who knows?
So, and they don't obviously either because he has an option for next year. So
the team has an option to pick it up.
So they haven't declined it at this point yet.
$1.7 million, I believe. Or is it higher than that for the option?
It's going to be in that neighborhood, though.
Yeah.
It could be a little higher. But
so you're talking about saving $1.8 or $9 million by not picking up his option. And my, of course, response is then Molino, does he slide into that spot? Is that the best place to play him? I mean, I guess.
If I wanted to... If I wanted to piss off even more fans, I would say that, you decline his Darwin's option. You put Molino at the 10. You let Chacon learn from Molino.
Yep.
And you save yourself $1.5 million.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Darwin has shown that he has an attitude issue that affects his play. Mm-hmm. I mean, he showed that in Mexico. So, I mean, it's not like it's a new thing.
Even though he's got great talent.
He's got phenomenal talent.
He reminds me a little bit of some wide receivers in the NFL. They have great talent.
The divas of the league.
Antonio Brown comes to mind.
Sure.
Diva, great talent, but has problems with management or not getting playing time or whatever it is.
And, and the thing is, this is where some people would say, well, get rid of the manager. But we have a manager who isn't going to take shit like that.
No.
And is so, I somewhat admire Heath for being that way. But at the same time, that can cause some problems.
Especially with guys like that.
Yeah. And why waste the money then on that situation?
There's no way. There's a lot of options, and we can talk about this in the next couple podcasts, guys going in the offseason. But we know there's going to be some guys who are not around next year.
Right.
And we've already seen the first 5 kind of kick to the door, and more will be coming up, and we'll have conversations about it. Before we hit to the break, though, we wanted to go over our MVPs, LVPs, and moment of the year.
Right.
Now, the LVP is actually the Gomez Award, isn't it?
Yes.
It's the Gomez.
It's immortalized as long as this podcast exists.
We'll call it the Gomez. That's my name for it.
It could maybe change to the Angelo Rodriguez Award, I suppose.
Well, it could.
I wonder if some of these are going to be unanimous. I think they might be.
I think our MVP, I'll start with my MVP, and it's going to be Ike. I mean, without Ike manning the middle of the defense, I don't think our team does well this year.
Right.
Him being, and we talked about this in an earlier podcast, that guy in the middle getting everybody better around him. Look at Boxall, for Pete's sakes. Boxall got better because Ike was there.
Right.
And Boxall got minutes after what's-his-nuts got traded to Chicago. Calvo. He's gone. I don't even remember his name anymore. He's so terrible. Calvo gets traded, and then Boxall steps up, does great for us next to Ike, and guess what? They get extensions. We're all happy. Defender of the year. I mean, the defense was just so much better than I've ever seen it in the last 2 years.
Well, yeah, you go from, 71 goals to just over 40, 43 goals in one season. And
it's all about how he sets everybody else up. Him and Vito setting up that defense made a huge difference for us this year, I think. Dave?
Yeah, interesting. So you make a great case, and it's actually really hard to argue against that as far as selecting another MVP. But I think I will totally agree with you, and I could easily pick Opara myself. But I'm going to pick somebody maybe a little lower on the list than for most people, but I'm going to say Jan Gregus.
Okay.
Because, I think he came over. It took him a few games maybe to get into the flow of things here, but I think he picked up steam fast.
The sniper.
Towards the middle of the season, all the way through the end. Maybe it's a little bit of recency bias. He scored the goal against LA Galaxy, but honestly, I've really liked what he's brought to the table, taking all the set pieces, pretty much all year. I really like that about his game. So that's going to be a name I'm going to nominate as the award. But
that's a good one. It's not the sexy choice,
right? That's it.
And he's an 8, so he doesn't even get credit for anything.
No,
he gets ignored. That's a good choice,
except when he snipes those goals.
Yeah. So mine is different.
Okay.
Mine's Alonso.
Okay, yeah.
I just think without Ozzy, you don't have Defender of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Without Ozzy, you don't have Michael Boxall being as good as he was. Without Ozzy, I don't think Jan is as good as he was.
Sure.
Honestly, I think Ozzy was the best signing this team has made, and I'll fight anyone that says otherwise and lose. But.
And that's going to be another one. I don't. Is he back next year? Is that undecided? Was he only over on a 1-year contract? I thought.
I don't even know.
Yeah. But bottom line is that's going to have to be another decision. I believe
they'll re-sign him. They have to. You got.
The nice thing is we have options there.
Yeah.
With Dotson being an 8, Jan being an 8, they could easily split, and I think they do okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that'd be best option,
but yeah, the point you made, he made everybody around him better.
Yeah,
it's funny. Is all 3 of the guys we picked for MVP are newcomers this year.
Right.
Not a single person who was on the team last year was even named as an MVP for us. So that tells you something about this team. The Gomez Award for LVP, I'm going to go with your buddy Rasmus Schuler because he did nothing this year, absolutely nothing. And when he was out there, he looked like a damn robot.
Yeah. Right.
And so he's my LVP. I don't think I need to go into detail about what he did because he did shit all year. Yeah. He's not as bad as Gomez was because Gomez actually had the ball and did stupid things with it.
He had plenty of opportunity to blow it.
Schuler would get the ball and he robotically would do something, and I was like, this is soccer, man. We got to be more freewheeling. He just looked like out of place, and then all of a sudden he stopped playing and he was gone, and that's that. So he's my LVP, the Gomez Award.
It's a good pick.
Yeah, that is a good pick. Again, hard to argue with, but I'm gonna make my pick for the Gomez Award, least valuable player. Probably won't be a popular choice, but I'm like my last one. But I'm gonna have to go with Miguel Ibarra. And this is because he was extremely.
Our listeners just went.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I'm going to just make my case for it. I know it's a very unpopular choice, but the reason is the reason he didn't have the playing time going down the stretch of the season and at the end of the year is because it's not political. There's nothing. It's not off-field issues. It was his play on the field. Earlier this year that was extremely disappointing. It seemed like he kept getting his chances. He at least early in the season he got his chances to play, but his play was extremely disappointing. And unfortunately, I expected a lot more from him. I think a lot of people did, and he just couldn't run with it.
Well, I think everybody expected more from him, and then he just got in that doghouse, and he never got out of the doghouse. Right. That's that.
Yeah.
So his time with the Loons ends kind of on a whimper, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's not over yet necessarily.
Yeah. I kind of hope that they bring him back just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
David?
So, had this event not happened in the last couple months, I would have been with Dave on Miguel. However, I have to give it to Brent Kelman.
Okay.
Because, what a dumbass. I don't care why he used those performance-enhancing drugs. Yep. I don't... It's... You make a decision like that, you're on my list as the worst.
Yeah,
it's a foolish decision. And I want to kind of go off of that and say, I think I talked to you guys about this, was every major league sport has a person you can call and ask them, if I'm taking something, what's in it?
And if you read his statement, he more or less, to me, it sounded like he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah,
exactly.
He admitted to it. Yeah.
So he knew he was cheating, and he admitted that. So
and again, you cheat, you lose.
And I think that's worse than, maybe it's not, but I think it's worse than you hear stories, and I believe them across all of sports, where, I took this, but I didn't realize that it had this banned substance in it.
Yeah.
Right? But, I mean, that's
on you.
Stupid or dumb here? Stupid or liar? I mean, I don't know what's better,
Yeah.
Well, like I said, every sport has somebody you can call and ask them a question. If I was in sports making millions of dollars and I said, there's a new supplement I want to take, I wouldn't just start going, it's great. I would send it to them and say, can I take this? And if they said yes, then I would say, great.
Yeah.
If they said no, then I'd say, okay, not going to do it.
Right.
It's not that hard.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about Kelman.
Yes, that is a very good one.
So moment of the year for me is going to be like a whole game, and it was the semifinal at Allianz against Portland. sitting in those seats that we had with the